Welcome to the Rockin Rich Lynch on the Radio Show. I'm your host, Rockin Rich Lynch, inviting you to join me as we discover great new music by bands and artists from around the world. With interviews, music news and reviews, great prizes, and a whole lot more. Visit us online today at soundpress.net for great music promotion and publicity. Hi, this is Rockin Rich Lynch, and you're listening to the very best of Rockin Rich Lynch on the radio. We recently moved our operations from the New York, New Jersey market to Nashville, Tennessee, and we are now looking for a production and broadcast partner in the region to take the radio show to new heights. If you're a band, musician, solo act, or represent a musical project in any genre, please visit soundpress.net and our new site, musiccitynashville.net, to learn how we can help get your message to the world. Now, please enjoy this great interview from our archives. He's a singer, songwriter, guitarist, and multi-instrumentalist, and it's a great honor to welcome him back to the show today, the great NILS LOFGREN. Hi, Nils.
Hey, Rich. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's great to hear from you again.
Yeah, good to talk to you again.
I wanted to say that first let's talk about your enshrinement in Cleveland. A lot of rockers, Nils, especially those not in the hall, will play the aloof or indifferent card as far as getting into the building and having their name up on the wall. With a little bit of hindsight now, how rewarding do you find this validation from your peers?
Well, that's a tough one. For number one, it's an honor that I am grateful for. I got to go to New York with my Jersey girl wife Amy and spend a few great days in New York and Brooklyn and see a lot of friends in and out of the rock and roll field, crew, etc. So it was a great thing. At the same time, it's a kind of a political bureaucracy, and rightfully so. It was a bittersweet thing because honestly, everyone agrees they should have figured it out before we lost Clarence and Danny. And there's no good reason they didn't. So, of course, it was bittersweet from our perspective because that was kind of something that those two in particular were hurt by through the years. And you gotta look. It's like exactly like you said. For a while, especially because my bandmates, arguably so, took it a little hard that East Street waited so long. So it's almost like you wore it not being in like a badge of courage, like a lot of people do. Like you said, and honestly, when you talk about peers. When I'm on stage with musicians, those are my peers, not, moguls and executives that decide, who belongs and who doesn't. Nevertheless, it's still a good honor. I was very grateful to be there and to have experienced it with my bandmates of 30 years. And just try to keep it in perspective, because, hey, there's a lot of bands that, personally, as fans that I think should be in there that aren't. But I don't lose any sleep over it. There's a lot more important things. But when it comes to rock and roll, it is nice to get an honor like that, and especially with my bandmates in the East Street Band. And, it was beautiful and bittersweet because of the reasons I spoke of.
Right, Nils. It gives me another reason to get out to Cleveland to finally visit the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that now that your name is up on the wall along with the members of the East Street Band. So congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a cool place. Been there. We were there in the beginning when they opened up and did a concert in the 90s, which was a lot of fun. But anyway, it's all good stuff, and it is a great place to visit. And it's nice to see rock and roll become such a historic thing. And music certainly has been my sacred weapon through the years, and has been for many through the thousands of years and centuries. And it's wonderful to be involved in a business like the music business, or just to play and sing and have it mean so much to so many people.
The great NILS LOFGREN is on the phone with us. NILSLOFGREN.com is the website. We got a lot to talk about. Hey, Nils, yesterday I was scrolling through my Facebook feed and I saw a link to an article called Steve Lukather's 8 Tips for Guitarists, and it got me thinking, what are your top tips for guitarists?
Wow, that's a rough one. Well, if you go to NILSLOFGREN.com, there's a beginner's school and an intermediate school. There are hour lessons you can download, and all my tips are there. Main thing is, try to practice and keep it fun in some fashion, which it can get pretty tedious. At my guitar schools, I try to keep it entertaining and enjoyable out of the gate, especially for the beginners, because you can lose students pretty easy. I was blessed with 10 years of accordion studies with classical music and some great teachers, and I picked up a lot of good tips from them that I pass on in my guitar school. But I guess the main thing is, even when you're working hard, try to find some enjoyment in it and embrace it, and walk away when it's getting too miserable, but keep at it and try to find an enjoyment of it all along the way.
Hey, NILS Lofgren, you are on the show today primarily to promote your long-awaited return to the Northeast, which has historically been a hotbed for your fan base. Are you excited to reconnect with your fans after what seems like it's been a long time away for you?
Well, it has. It's been, well over 3.5 years. I usually am in the Northeast, every year, of course, at least for a couple runs. I had a good excuse, 26 months on the road with the E Street Band, but I returned to my own shows certainly excited, refreshed, and not musically rusty. So it's a good combination. Me and my buddy Greg Varlata, who I've been working with for years, a lot of jamming, the best of 46 years of songs and being on the road. I put out a box set, Face the Music. It's the best of 45 years of recording, 40 bonus tracks and rarities we found, and old Grin things that we put into the show, too. Greg tap dances, plays trumpet, keyboards, guitar. I jump around a lot, and it's quite a colorful show. So, yes, especially with this box set, Face the Music, which you can get at NILSLOFGREN.com, and a massive amount of work that went into it for a couple years. We turned our home upside down. My wife Amy produced it with me and worked with the art directors. And Dave Marsh helped me write a 138-page booklet and story. So we're very proud of it, and a very unlikely, beautiful package, because through the years a lot of the old music goes out of print, which is a common problem for anyone who has not had big hit records. So grateful I have that, great box set to pull from as I get back to playing in the Northeast. And you're right, I'm very excited to get back and do a run in the Northeast, especially up and down the Jersey Turnpike, where I'm sure I've logged more miles than most people that live there.
Nils, let me just give out some of the select dates in the New York, New Jersey market. We got you coming to the Carl Pfeiffer Performing Arts Stage in Wyckoff, New Jersey on May 1st. On May 3rd, you'll go up to the reinvigorated, the reimagined church building. It's a really nice little structure up there in the Newton Theater in Newton, New Jersey, Sunday, May 3rd. B.B. King's, you'll go to Times Square on Monday, May 4th. And then you'll return to New Jersey at the end of the week, Friday, May 8th. You'll be down at my friend Jim's Theater, the Lavoie Theater in Millville, New Jersey. And then you'll go to the Jersey Shore country, West Long Branch. You'll be at the Pollock Theater at Monmouth on Saturday, May 9th. And then you have some other dates in and around the region. So it's great to see you back there on the road, Nils. And you mentioned a little bit about Face the Music. I want to talk to you about that. It's an extensive 10-disc box set that was released in 2014. We're going to get a little bit deeper into that again. But I wanted to ask you, Nils, what are your top 5, what you consider your top 5 favorite or best songs that you've ever composed or written, and are they all represented on this box set?
Well, I can say they're represented, but I certainly can't pick a top 5 off the top of my head. I mean, I'd have to look at 300 titles or so, and I don't have them in front of me to pick. I mean, certainly, Like Rain comes to mind, and Shine Silently, No Mercy, Little On Up, but I wouldn't necessarily put them in that order. There's just too many. That's a question I have to mull over and look at a long list of songs. But yeah, I've been at it a long time, and by putting the box set together, I kind of was surprised at how much I'd gotten done, because I tend to look forward, and even now I'm getting ready to start writing again and work on another album, I hope, down the road to get out sometime in the future as I get back to doing my own shows. But, it's hard to list them in order of priority because there's so many, and I'm grateful for that anyway. Yeah,
no, there's certainly a lot of good songs. I have a lot of favorites of my own. One of my favorite things to do in my early 20s, Nils, was to drive to local record stores in the area and piece together my collection of NILS LOFGREN vinyl. I was able to do that, but you've now gone and done the legwork for the rest of us, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we did get a limited version of my last album, Old School, out on vinyl. You can get it through MVD, and also we're working on the acoustic live record, one of my most popular records at the website. That's coming out in vinyl as a double album very soon, I think this spring. So excited about that too.
Nils, I got to know, with 10 CDs, nine of them spanning your time on a major label, your time as an independent, and your time as self-release. There's 2 full disc of outtakes and rarities. Are there any more outtakes in the vaults?
Well, there were plenty, and I just, again, along the lines of, as opposed to sharing everything I ever did, which might have been a 20-disc package, I don't know, I just took the cream of the crop, and figuratively I wanted to not get off the couch and move the needle on the record. I wanted everything to play through in its entirety and feel, some kind of emotional hit to me, which I was able to do over many months of work. And yeah, there's a lot of basement tapes that no one's heard yet. I'll probably pull them out of the cellar as we go forward. There's, I wrote 13 songs with Lou Reed, which was a beautiful chapter as a writer, and I think I've gotten about 7 or 8 of them out. He used 3 on the Bells record. I've gotten 5 or 6 out, and 3 of them appear in this box set. And there's 4 or 5 left that I was hoping Lou would do, and sad that we lost him, one of our great writers. So that's another job, to get the last 4 or 5 co-writes with Lou out in the next couple albums of mine, and get a version of them recorded and shared out there.
The great Nils Lofgren is on the phone with us right now. NILSLOFGREN.com. Nils is coming to town. A big tour on the East Coast beginning May 1st in Wyckoff, New Jersey. We hope to check you out on the road this time, Nils. Hey, next up for us, Nils, soundpress.net got an invite to review a concert by the legendary Herb Alpert. In addition to being a great trumpeter and leader of the Tijuana Brass, Herb co-founded the A&M label that you were a part of in the 1970s. Any standout memories from your time there on A&M Records, which of course launched your solo career?
Yeah, I will say that Jerry Moss and Herb Alpert both are 2 of the friendliest, most honest, easy to work with executives I ever met. And certainly Herb Alpert was one of my musical heroes. I mean, before I even touched a guitar, I don't know if I was 11 or 12 years old, on my classical accordion, 120 bass accordion, I would go buy Lonely Bull, the 45, at the local record shop and learn it on the accordion. And big fan of Herb's and his body of work. So yeah, it was a real honor to spend half a decade at A&M or more and make some great records with both those guys. They were a joy to work with.
So, Nils, you've had a prolific solo career in addition to working with rock legends like Ringo Starr, Neil Young, and Bruce Springsteen. Can you recall the most powerful or lasting memory that you have as a solo artist and your time with Ringo, Neil, and Bruce?
Well, I've been spoiled rotten to be in some of the great bands through the decades. So picking one moment or one concert is impossible, because there's just been too many. And like you said, in addition to the E Street Band and first 2 Ringo Starr All-Star Band tours, and the work with Neil Young, some extraordinary albums and tours, and I had a couple extraordinary bands, even though it was just for a few weeks here and there, with Patti Scelfa on her 2nd and 3rd solo records. Willie Weeks, Steve Jordan, a lot of great musicians in her band. So I've been very blessed, and I do love the live setting more than anything. It's kind of my favorite thing to do, is have a show tonight, and no matter what, you got to walk out there, whether it's a nightclub or a giant stadium. It's my favorite thing to do is be with a great group of musicians and have a great body of work to walk out and share with people. So been a while since I've been a band leader, but have many great bands of my own, and one tour that comes to mind, opening for The Who in 79, I think it was, all over Europe and stadiums, was just an extraordinary run. Back then we had the Stranglers and AC/DC on the bill, and of course Bon Scott was alive singing Highway to Hell, and that was a great band. They still are. And it was nice to be on the road for 6 weeks with him before he passed away. But I've had an incredible 46 years. I mean, that album we talked about, Sacred Weapon, was the title of an album, which music is for billions of people, and myself included. And I'd written just kind of part of my journey learning other instruments in '99 when Steve came back into the band, which was a huge welcome back addition as we went back on the road in '99. the E Street Band. So having 4 guitar players, I challenged myself to learn some pedal steel, bottleneck, dobro, lap steel, 6-string banjo, and throw some other tools in the toolbox. And one Christmas, I wrote my first bottleneck dobro song for my wife Amy, who's a Jersey girl from West Orange I met at the Stone Pony, and it was called "In Your Hands." And then fast forward months later, I was recording it, and Willie Nelson's manager asked Willie to listen to it and maybe sing a duet, which he did. And then I got the Lofgren brothers on it. It's called "In Your Hands" from the Sacred Weapon record, and of course it's on the box set. But that's just the kind of luck and journey I've had, where you just keep learning new things and new instruments, and it leads to very unexpected, beautiful surprises like that, and I've been blessed that way.
Cool, Nils. You almost have like too much going on in your career to pack into 20 minutes here on the phone. We do have some standard questions on the show, and this is a brand new one, so I don't know how it's going to go. But okay. Is there a question out there that you've always wished you have been asked in an interview but haven't yet? And if so, what is it, and answer it?
These are kind of things I should have had 2 days to think about. Question, not really. I mean, if you just want to look at it kind of a silly hoot, you could ask what's the one unique musical liaisons that separates you from all the other guitarists in history. And the answer to that would be I'm the only guitar player in history who's gotten to play with Cab Calloway and Bart Simpson. So it's kind of a silly little answer, but the only guy I thought might have played with Cab, because I know he did play with Bart Simpson, was B.B. King. And at a show here in Phoenix, my wife and I were on B.B.'s bus having a nice visit. He kept telling me I could leave because he was flirting with my wife, which was fun. But I asked B.B. if he'd ever worked with Cab Calloway, who's one of the great, he invented rap music, 80 years ago, 90 years ago. And anyway, B.B. had never, even though he wanted to. So at that point, I realized I was the only guitarist who'd ever had a chance to play with Bart Simpson and Cab Calloway. So that's the trivia question.
Hey, Nils, as a fan, I'm definitely a fan of yourself, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. When Bruce had a band with you, Steve, and himself in there, I, along with many, many of the other fans, always dreamed of the incendiary guitar-centric album that could possibly come from that lineup. And then Bruce goes and invites Tom Morello into the band, and we finally kind of get that guitar album, kind of disappointed because we wanted that to be, your thing. Any thoughts on that?
No, I don't question a genius like Bruce and what he records and what he does. He's earned the right to follow his muse. I mean, you don't even have to earn it. That's what he should do as an artist. And initially, when we were in Australia, there was a scheduling conflict, and Steve, who won Best Actor award for Lilyhammer, later had a filming schedule he had to honor. So it was great to have Tom step in there and have another guitarist to, share all the parts with. And, Tom, in addition to being a great player, was very professional, and he did his homework, and it was a joy to have him. And then, of course, we got Steve back, so with, the 4 of us or 5 of us, when Patty was out there, we'd do Highway to Hell and do this power rock stuff. And, the live show did kind of explore all of that, and Bruce would pass around the solos. But, look, whatever gets Bruce into the studio and sharing music, he's as great a writer, I think, as there's ever been in history. So to me, whatever gets him, putting something on tape and sharing it, because I'm assuming he's always got 5 or 6 albums he's working on because he's so prolific. Whatever that took, man, I was happy that he put a record out called High Hopes and wanted to keep touring, which for me is the blessing, however it happens.
As a fan, one amazing guitar solo on record from you on the Tunnel of Love song is not quite enough. That was a bit of a tease in the late 80s, and it's like, where's the rest of it?
Well, it's funny. I used to joke with Bruce, like, hey, I've been in the band 18 years, and I've never made an album with him. And he laughed, and he was driving us around Jersey one day, and he laughed, said, oh, that'll happen. And, fast forward, you got, Tunnel of Love was a tease because it was a solo record, but yes, very honored to zip into his home in Rumson and play the solo on the title track, Tunnel of Love. But then you fast forward to The Rising, which is certainly one of the most, extraordinary, challenging records to write an album that, dwelled in the horror and tragedy of 9/11 and do it so eloquently with so much dignity. And that was my first full album to record with the E Street Band, and obviously it was worth the wait and a great honor to participate in.
Yeah, it was good, and we as fans have been so happy the last 15 years because it's just been amazing. Now, Nils, I'll let you go. I just got a two-parter here. You know, I'm a fan of yours. I'd never do anything to harm you at all, but I wanted to ask you if you were aware that some of your fans or some of the people on BTX like to refer to you as Baghdad Nils. Have you ever heard that before? And then if not,
Baghdad Nils. I haven't heard that. Where does that come from?
Okay, well, what it comes from is they feel that people when you might be asked questions in an interview that you'll kind of keep the company line and the party line like Baghdad Bob did in the Gulf War. So it's just a funny thing, but it's a two-part question because Bruce shut down the mega band in May of 2014, and people are wondering what's going on next.
Well, that would be a question for Bruce. I mean, right now there's no plans, and of course, as a courtesy, I'll call John and the management and say, hey, I want to play the Northeast for 3 weeks. Any conflicts? And they'll say no conflicts right now, and I'll book my tour. And past that, it's pretty. I keep it that simple for me because look, I would argue there's no bigger fan of the band than me. I kind of discovered Bruce in 1970 with Steel Mill at a audition night we both did together for Bill Graham at the Fillmore West. I bought tickets in the 70s at the Bottom Line, the 80s in L.A. where I lived at the Roxy, and have spent many a night as a fan in the audience enjoying the E Street Band. So I'm a big fan. I got a better seat now, of course, but I with a lot of work. I was 18 when I did the After the Gold Rush with Neil Young, and discovered how much fun it was to be in a great band and not be the band leader every day of your life. It's very refreshing and exciting to play different types of parts. So, I don't question any of it. It's just I keep it simple. Like, hey, I want to go play. Any problems? No problems. I go play. When Bruce decides he wants to do another chapter with the band, which as a fan, of course, I hope happens, I'll be there with bells on, and until then, there's no plans I know of, and I mean, that's as simple as I need to keep it for me, because I need to work and get out there and, do what I do, and now this is a great opportunity for me to do my own shows again, start thinking about writing another, solo record, and of course, spend some more time at home with my wife and my, dog pack, and I've been missing in action for a few years for good reason, but to every season, turn. Right now, it's a season for me to get out and sing and play and start writing again and see what comes out.
Yeah, we're excited, Nils. NILSLOFGREN.com. Everybody go over there, check the dates, buy your tickets. Nils, have fun on the road. It's great talking to you again. And, hey, Nils, that's what publicists and press releases are for anyway. You shouldn't have to be out there at the forefront telling everybody else what's coming next. But I had to ask. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't.
And it's the truth. Right now, all I know what's coming next is my own shows. And like every fan, I hope down the road at some point there's another chapter, rightfully so. It's such a beautiful, powerful band, and led by, one of the greats of all time, Bruce. So, God willing, there'll be another chapter, and until there is, I'm excited to get back to my own stuff.
All right, man. Have fun on the road.
Good to talk to you, man. Thanks so much for the call and spreading the word on my shows.
Thanks for listening to the Rockin' Rich Lynch on the Radio Show, part of the SoundPress.net radio network. Remember, if you're a band or artist looking for promotion, or if you'd like to sponsor this show or add this program to your station, please get in touch with us today at SoundPress.net.